What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to put out a quick little video on like a how-to, almost like a troubleshooting way of actually cutting borders and straight lines and stuff like that. Not the actual players themselves, but there's some simple tricks and trades that both I was taught and was found out on my own. So I just wanted to share them with you guys. You know, first things first is obviously like anything else. You know, pick something that looks not over your skill level. Biggest word of advice with that is paper is about 1,000 times easier to cut than any chrome. So if you want to make life easier for yourself and wait until you get better with these things, and you see everyone else cutting prism this and prism that, don't do that. Make life easy for yourself until you get confident and you get good. And this is definitely one of those things where the equipment that you use actually does matter. You definitely want to have a metal ruler of some sort. I know 6-inch ones are very good as well. I use a 12-inch one, but definitely a metal ruler because you want it to be flat, right up against the card as much as possible. And also you want to use a number 11 X-Acto knife blade is what I was told, and it's what I use for all the stuff. Have a really good handle that feels comfortable in your hand. I have two different ones that I use, same blade though, but there's a big difference between paper and chrome, so you're going to want to make sure that you're comfortable in whatever it is that you're doing. Chrome is a lot less forgiving. It's going to see any little nick, you know, everything. You know, as far as border choices, you're going to want to use a ruler for everything. Even if it's every short, small piece of straight line, if you use a ruler, trust me when I tell you, if you hold that ruler straight and you hold it strong and you cut and so on and so forth, and you don't need a lot of pressure to cut, if you have a sharp enough blade, it's gonna really help a lot. I can't stress that enough. I didn't do it as much initially either, and now it's, you know, it's a lot better. You're also gonna want to be very smart with how you use your borders that you are using. If you're gonna use a different border, like you're gonna cut an image out of one card and put it onto a different border. If you're going to, you know, use the card as is, you know, stuff like that, you're gonna want to be very cautious, or at least know what you want to do before you do it in regards to where exactly am I gonna cut all this stuff out. So I'll show you what I mean here in just a minute. Sorry, I had to go back and readjust some things. So great example here with exactly where to cut. Border on the right, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You know where you're going to want to cut. You're going to want to go along the white edge and stuff like that. Reason is that you know, if you have any imperfections, you're not going to see any shading, if you will. Whereas on the left, if you cut inside the red, there's a thin black border, so you'll see that striping if you either cut incorrectly or if there's any kind of chipping or anything like that. You'll just see it a little bit more. If you cut on the other side of the black border to leave just the red, same thing. You can cut on the outside of the red border, still leaving that indentation on both sides. Like just make life easier for yourself. Use the ruler all the time. Use good, sharp blades. I know guys that use 3 and 4 or sometimes more blades per card, so don't think that that's obnoxious or abnormal. And make the cuts smarter for yourself, because in the end, you want to make the card look better, you know, for yourself, for whoever you're making it for, a gift, you know, if you're selling it, if it's a commission piece. But this is going to make your life so much easier, and it doesn't matter what kind of card you're cutting. If you're going to keep the player inside of that card, if you're going to take the player out, it does not matter. Which brings me to my next point. Something like this, I don't want to say it doesn't matter how you cut these things. It doesn't matter how straight they are, how, you know, if they're chipping, or not everything has to be perfect. It is still hand cut art, but you want the sum of your parts to look the best. That matters more than the individual border cut, the individual player cut, so on and so forth. You want it when it's done to go, okay, when this is done and it goes on top of, you know, whatever it is that you're going to put it on for a background, or you know, if you're going to have a patch, or no matter what you're going to do, it's got to look good when it's done. That's why what I do is I put the card together multiple times before gluing any of it or anything like that, to give myself a chance to kind of rescue what I have done. So me personally, I actually have this blade, and it's, again, not blade, but that handle, and I broke my other one. But you'll see how the end is chipped. I actually like that for the chrome cards, because it allows me to cut the borders with a little bit of bite. Like the end is not so sharp as far as like it will allow me to make those cuts a little bit easier. And you're just doing a rough cut basically. And then, so I have two handles. Those are the exact same blades. They're both number 11 X-Acto knife blades. The one on the left is a scalpel handle I got on Amazon. I have huge meat hooks. However, it's a little bit better for the fine trimming. I always make sure that that blade is sharp, or I use a fresh one or whatever. And the one on the right, I still use a fresh one, but that one is definitely more for paper and for larger border cutting. So you got to find something that works for you. Don't think anything is abnormal. Some people are using strictly one blade. You can try and use different sizes. You can try and use different handles. It's all about comfortability, but it's a combination of things. You have to select the right frame that you want to do. You have to cut it at the right spot, and then keep it simple. The ruler, the ruler, the ruler, the ruler. I can't stress the ruler enough. You know, when you're going to do curves, you want to do small bites and so on and so forth, and then you can go back in with a with a sharp blade or a fresh blade, and you can retrim that nice and slow, and that will help you keep it a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner, where it's not as frayed or stuff like that. And it's still, again, it's not going to be perfect, but these are things that have helped me along the way, and I think sometimes it's not explained enough by other card artists to people. You know, a lot of the guys that I have featured in my other videos have kind of given me that advice, like, oh, this is what I do. I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. This is not my stuff. A lot of this stuff I didn't do. A lot of this stuff was told to me, and then I did it, and I was like, oh, that actually freaking works. All right, so now with that being said, I know a lot of people like the chrome cards. They like the chrome borders, or they like certain images in some of the chrome sets, so on and so forth. Please understand, not all the chrome sets or chrome cards are created equal. Some are easier to cut than others. Some of the new Prism is like trying to cut glass, you know, like they're very hard. You know, so you may want to try to practice on a card of the same set to see what kind of like how soft it is, how spongy it is, how thick the chromium layer is, that kind of stuff. Because you know, once you slide across or anything crazy like that, you're gonna have cut marks and stuff. And I mean, you can finish the card like that if you'd like, but it's not gonna look that great. And then same thing like anything else, how you're gonna cut it. I thought the idea of this card was gonna be phenomenal. The cuts are just absolutely trash. There's not that many straight lines on this at all, so I can't even use a ruler to help cheat. So poor selection on my behalf. My eyes were bigger than my brain. So you're going to need to watch the same thing. I have found that some chromium sets are very easy to cut than others. The chromium layer is there, but it's softer. It's not as hard, you know, so on and so forth. That's why I have those. I'll use like a chipped blade to rough cut some of the borders, and then use a sharper one on the scalpel. Same thing as on the paper cards in this video. If you look through it, like I just did this one just to do it because I got it. I think it'll look cool because I like the orange laser cards. But like where to cut that border is everything. There's that thin silver border between the black and the red and the black and stuff like that. Do you cut that? Do you not cut that? If so, then the issue is going to be that if you have any inconsistencies in it, it's going to be an eyesore. You're going to see it. So you either got to be really good or just very, very well aware of it. Also, once it's done, if you take the blade, now I can do a live broadcast of this or get a better video for another point in time. And I think LJ's Customs was trying to tell me this and I wasn't paying attention, or he didn't tell me it all the way because he didn't want me to know. I don't know the answer, but I did find out that if you put that card at an angle and you put the blade going almost straight in and trim it, you see how all that is trimmed in the back? If you trim that away, almost, you know, I use my scalpel blade for that, almost like you're sawing it a little bit, you'll take away all the under cardboard of that, and it will look so much better because you think that the cut is not straight, and the cut is straight, but what you're seeing is the cardboard from underneath the actual chromium layer, and it's giving an illusion that it looks like the cut was bad when the cut was not bad. So you have to trim the underside to kind of give it that really thin effect. So, like I said, I can do another video kind of highlighting that. I have just recently found out that it helps. That's a much harder technique to do. It takes some time. You need to be slow, and it does not work really that well for the paper cards because your blade, if sharp enough, will just go right through the front, and then you have ruined the entire image. But with the chromium cards, that hard chromium layer does allow you to do that with very, like, it's again very forgiving and stuff like that, and it's kind of looking pretty good. I still won't use the Prism borders because so many people do, and I kind of don't want to be exactly like everybody else, even though the same style that I do is the same as what looks to be 80% of the people even out there. But you know, those are just some tricks and some trades on how to cut, you know, where to cut, what to cut, all that kind of stuff. The biggest thing is slow. Don't be afraid to use multiple blades, and then use a straight edge of some sort 47,000 times more than you think you need to, even for a, you know, just the smallest of straight lines. If you don't cut that straight, it's going to be an eyesore. So using a straight blade is everything. So I can't recommend that enough. And then having a good handle, using the right kind of blades. Number 11 X-Acto seems to be universal. If somebody else who watches this, the 11 of you, uses a different size or a different style X-Acto knife blade, feel free to comment on the bottom and kind of say what you use, just to kind of share advice with others. But all right, that's my 2 cents. Hope everyone has a good one. See ya.